Hello YouTube, my name is Hero, and today we're going to be discussing something I usually don't like to talk about, and that's someone else's opinion. Now some of you may know The Lazy Peon. He does a lot of videos about Black Desert Online and things like that, and recently he's uploaded a video entitled Why I Stopped Playing Black Desert Online. This video, while it may be his opinion, is full of inaccuracies and just downright lies. Because Mr. Peon has a big influence over Black Desert, I've taken it upon myself to sort of rectify some of the lies I found and some of the inconsistencies I found in this video. Before I begin, I am in no way intending to insult Mr. Peon. I just feel that some of the things he has said are untrue. With that being said, let's take a look at the video.
Hey guys, I just wanted to make a quick video about Black Desert Online, as a lot of people have been asking me why I haven't made any BDO content for a while, and also, am I still playing the game? Well, up until very recently I have been playing Black Desert, but a few days ago I made the decision to quit the game due to a few reasons that I'll talk about in this video. Before I get into that though, I just want to say I still stand by most of what I said about the game in my review. I still think it's a really good MMORPG, the best MMO released since World of Warcraft in fact, but as I played more of the game, a few things started to bother me more and more. As many of you are probably aware, Black Desert is a game that takes a hell of a lot of time to really get anywhere. The first month the game was released, my YouTube channel actually suffered a big lack of content compared to previous months, as I was putting off video making to play the game and prepare for sieges. I got geared up really fast and had a lot of fun doing guild vs guild PvP, but it got to the point where I had to play the game less and focus on making YouTube content again, because my channel is obviously more important to me than Black Desert, and I didn't want to spam too many Black Desert videos because I want to continue to be a variety MMO channel and not be perceived as a Black Desert channel the same way I used to just be a World of Warcraft channel. But despite playing less, I still continued to play the game. Then part 1 of the Media expansion was dropped with 1 day's notice, which kinda pissed me off a bit, as it made everything I did in the 2 weeks prior to that feel pointless.
So why would adding additional content to a game make anything you've ever done feel pointless? Everything you did 2 weeks before Media didn't change anything after Media was released. I really don't understand the point of this.
If I'd have known Media was coming out, I wouldn't have bothered getting a full plus 15 set of Agerian armor in the first month, and just waited for Granil armor.
Plus 15 armor is easy to make. It takes pretty much no time at all to do that. Don't see the problem there. By that logic, you should never go for any gear set ever if new gear is going to come out eventually.
At this point I was quite disappointed that Sieges hadn't been released, because I then felt the need to play the game even more to keep up with the gear curve, just in case Sieges were dropped with 1 day's notice as well, and as I've said before, Castle Sieges are the biggest thing I was looking forward to in this game. So back to grinding I went, and after about 1 week of Media I got to 130 AP and 160 DP on my Sorceress, as well as level 54, which was pretty decent at that point. It wasn't amazing, but I felt competitive. I then decided to just AFK fish for a few weeks in the hope that Sieges would come out soon, because to be honest, I was quite bored and burnt out of the constant gearing and level grind in this game.
Black Desert is a grind and gear grind, and that is all true, but if you don't like it, the game's just not for you.
A few weeks later, still no Sieges, and a lot of guilds on my server are starting to fall apart, and then we've got hackers running around with no cooldowns on their abilities, and due to the fact I've taken some time off grinding to fish, my gear really isn't that great.
The old hacker excuse. Now tell me, what does a hacker's hacks have to do with your gear
Anymore. It's at this point where I'm doubting that I'll continue to play the game for much longer. The endless grind you need to go through to keep up and stay competitive, as well as dealing with so much RNG in everything you do, stressed me out, and the game felt more like a chore than something I just played to have fun.
Endless grind. Let's do the math here. At Media, you get about 4% an hour grinding at level 54. 4% an hour is not endless. That's 20 hours at 54, which is extremely slow for 54. Extremely slow, but I'm just saying worst case scenario, it takes you 20 hours to hit 55. Once you hit 55, you're at a competitive level already.
In the end, the reason I quit Black Desert was that it dawned on me that I'd have to give up a fucking stupid amount of time doing boring shit that I didn't want to do, just to be competitive and have a few hours a week of fun doing Castle Sieges.
I just don't understand where you're getting the word competitive from. How can you know how effective you would be in sieges if you've never done them before?
And due to the fact the game has no level cap and almost infinite progression, I wouldn't ever hit a point where I could stop grinding and just enjoy the game.
Yes you would. It's called level 55. That's where a lot of people stop, and if you wanted to, you could go for 56. 56 wouldn't take you that long either.
Black Desert is probably the perfect MMO for someone that doesn't work and has a lot of free time, as you can pretty much play the game full time if you wanted to. But for someone like me that spends most of his time making YouTube videos, it just doesn't work, as the thing I want to do most in the game takes up more time than I can spare. From my point of view, why would I grind for 30 hours per week just for 4 hours of fun, when I can play Overwatch or Dark Souls and have fun instantly? And that's not just a Black Desert issue, that's an issue of almost every MMO out there, and that's why I'm starting to lose faith in the genre in general. I hate how in MMOs you always need to go through hours upon hours of boring shit just for a few hours of fun at the end. Why can't the whole fucking game be fun? If questing and progression systems were designed to be as fun and entertaining as possible, rather than being a mindless rite of passage, then maybe more people would stick around to see the big end game content that's designed to keep you playing for months on end. I fucking hate it when I cover an MMO in a first impressions video and get bored, only to receive comments such as, "The leveling sucks, but the game gets really good at end game. Why not make the leveling less shit so I don't quit your fucking game before I get to the good part?" I'm sorry, I kinda went off topic here, but to bring it back to Black Desert, there's a few other issues I have with the game that's caused me to quit too. RNG is a big factor as to why I stopped playing. Literally everything in Black Desert is RNG based. I can deal with some RNG in games, but Black Desert is just too much to the point where I find gearing a genuinely stressful process. Currently you can only upgrade your armor to plus 15, which isn't that bad because you have bad luck protection by force enhancing your gear for extra resources. But when plus 17 or even plus 20 comes out...
You do know plus 17 and plus 20 were released at the same time, right?
It's going to be such a ball ache because as far as I'm aware you can't force enhance, and at plus 16 you have the chance for your gear to drop back down to plus 15, and I honestly couldn't deal with that. I'd probably break my computer out of rage.
Yes, your gear dropping down is bad, but your accessories blowing up and being deleted off the server is worse.
I almost smashed my keyboard after I spent 4 days leveling up 2 tier 5 horses to level 30, only to breed them together and receive 2 more tier 5 horses.
Yes, because it's definitely 100% guaranteed that you will receive a higher tier horse. Yep. I'm sure you knew that before spending all that time.
I also got a lot of rage from pumping 20 million silvers worth of resources into my alchemy stone without getting an upgrade as well.
20 million silver into your alchemy stone without getting an upgrade. I wonder which alchemy level is.
The RNG in Black Desert just gives me more rage than joy. When I finally do get an upgrade, my reaction isn't...
So you used a 35 fail stack on an Algerian set, and you're sitting here telling me about Black Desert? You clearly know nothing about the game. The game just gave you something amazing and you threw it away for nothing. And you're complaining about RNG when RNG was literally blessing you in this video?
Fuck yeah, I got an upgrade. It's more along the lines of, great, about fucking time this thing upgraded. Upgrading your gear, in my opinion, is something you should look forward to, but in Black Desert it's the complete opposite due to the amount of uncertainty that you'll get the upgrade.
Yeah, because if everyone can get the upgrade so easily, then there'd be nothing to work for in the game. That's why they take a long time.
I also really dislike the fact there's no level cap in the game. I really don't think it's necessary in Black Desert. People call Black Desert a hardcore MMO, but the only thing that makes one player more hardcore than another is the amount of time they're willing to spend grinding the same easy mobs over and over.
Hardcore means spending more time. I guess. I mean, I'm pretty sure that stands true for anything ever, but okay.
The actual thing they're doing to progress isn't hard at all in terms of difficulty.
Actually, it is very hard, especially if you are contesting a zone with PvP, with players always trying to fight you over the zone that you're using to level.
It's the complete opposite. But it's necessary to do if you want to compete in the game due to the fact that grinding mobs is objectively the best way to earn money.
Also not true. I'm always on the top 5 leaderboards on my server, and I haven't grinded in about maybe 2 weeks, and I'm still making more money than everyone else. grinding is definitely not the best way to make money in Black Desert Online.
And getting those extra levels past the soft cap gives you some pretty big advantages over someone that's a lower level. Another thing I absolutely hate in Black Desert are the world bosses. All of them except Zaka fucking suck. They feel buggy, overly punishing, and just boring to fight. Red Nose, for example, is a 45-minute to 1 hour fight if you're with a bunch of randoms.
If you went with a bunch of randoms, it takes longer? You don't say. So you're telling me that if you go to a boss with people that you don't know, and you don't plan, and you don't coordinate, and you don't organize, it takes longer than it would have if you were with a group of people that you know and can coordinate and plan and follow the mechanics of the boss? You don't say.
And in that time you'll die over and over again, mostly due to the game being incredibly laggy due to the amount of players fighting him. And despite this, each death you'll lose 1% of your experience, which at level 54 and 55 is a pretty big deal. So basically no one bothers going to world bosses unless they've just leveled up and have nothing to lose upon death. If you do want to go to world bosses though and not lose half a level of XP from dying to one of the boss's many one-hit mechanics, you can always throw your credit card at the game and buy Alien's Tears, which cost about 50 pence each. So to save yourself losing 10% of a level, you'll pay about £5, which I consider to be a little bit pay to win, especially with how boss loot works in this game. In Black Desert, the more damage you do to a boss, the higher the chance you'll receive loot is. This means if you're behind the gear curve, you could spend 30 minutes fighting a boss only to receive no loot. This system only really benefits the well-geared players and increases the power gap between the hardcore and casual. Using Alien's Tears when dying to a world boss is pay to win because you respawn at the same place you died rather than the nearest node, saving you the run back to the boss, allowing you to get in some extra damage and increasing your chance at loot.
This is the silliest thing I've ever heard. Yes, damage does increase your chance at loot, but so what? Every MMO has this. Every MMO has where you gear up, and the stronger you are, the better dungeons you can do, the better bosses you can fight, the better gear you can get. I don't understand. This is in every single MMO. It's called progression. It's called rewarding a player for working. And even then, you still have a chance of getting loot. Just for touching the boss one time, you have a chance of getting loot. You don't have to do the max damage to get loot.
I actually feel like the whole world boss feature in Black Desert is just designed to sell as many Alien's Tears as possible, and it does an amazing job in doing that.
No, the boss feature was implemented to support the NA community's claims that the world or the game has no bosses and no PvE challenges. That's why the bosses are there. If you don't want to go to bosses because you're afraid of spending money, then that's on you. I've never spent money at a boss because I go when my percent is at 0, which is what a smart person would do who wants to get the boss loot without taking too much of a risk. If you go while you have experience, that's your fault.
This is why. Most world bosses will one-hit you if you're caught in their attack, even if you have like 200 DP.
No, they won't unless the attack is a one-shot mechanic, which you should have been able to dodge if you knew the animations of the boss, which is what happens if you take the time to learn instead of complain.
The fact that doing more damage increases your chance of getting gear makes everyone at the world boss try to do as much damage as possible rather than playing safe. This causes more people to die due to getting greedy with damage rather than running away from the boss.
So it's Black Desert's fault that players don't follow the mechanics of the boss. Interesting.
The amount of players required to kill a world boss adds difficulty in itself because the game will freeze, the boss will lag, there's particle effects going everywhere so you can't see what the fuck's going on.
So now you're complaining because you didn't want to take the time to check your settings window and turn off particle effects. Interesting.
And player collision is a thing in this game and will also cause you to die sometimes. These bosses drop the best gear in the game. If you want to be competitive, you need this gear.
This is also not true. You don't need that gear to be competitive. It is the best gear, but you don't need it. You can still be competitive without it. Many people are, even in Korea.
Due to how rare this gear is, you can't just buy it off the marketplace because they get instantly sniped.
Could that be because they just came out a week ago and the market doesn't have enough supply for the demand? Could that be? Could it be that maybe later, once we have the supply, they'll be more easy to purchase? I like how you failed to mention that they also all drop from daily and weekly bundles, which you don't have to do anything but log on to get. Interesting.
So you have no choice but to fight these bosses if you're in a big guild, and due to the fact they only spawn once per day, you feel compelled to do them even if you're halfway through a level.
The game makes the player want to participate in PvE situations. What a terrible game.
Buying Elion's Tears saves you a long walk from the node to the boss, allowing you to get in more damage if you die, thus increasing your chance at loot as well as saving you from losing that 1% experience from your death.
Okay, the 1% thing I get, but walking from the node is not pay to win. That's worse than the ghillie suit pay to win argument. Are you serious right now?
All of this adds together to create an incredibly frustrating experience that seems to be designed to make you die as much as possible in the hopes that you'll buy Elion's Tears.
No, it's designed to make you die as much as possible if you don't follow the boss mechanics, which I can tell you don't.
I think that Zarka is the only decent world boss in this game because he actually has mechanics that make sense. You see the black particles come out of him, you run behind the pillar, or he one-hits you. That's a completely fine mechanic. And if he hits you with his normal melee attack, he doesn't one-hit you, it takes you to about 40% health, which gives you at least some chance to recover. I find it kinda weird that Zarka is the easiest world boss in the game despite the fact he drops the best in-slot weapon for all classes.
It's not the easiest boss in the game. It's because you don't know the mechanics of the other bosses.
And is the newest world boss to be released. If it wasn't for his 3-day respawn time, I don't think people would even bother with the other world bosses.
He never had a 3-day... What? 3 days? It's 32 hours!
That's probably why they're all on a much shorter cooldown, to be honest. People wouldn't be buying as much Elion's Tears otherwise. After listening to my rant about world bosses, you're probably thinking, but Peon, you said in your BDO review that people who think Black Desert is pay to win are retarded. And to that I'm going to put my hands up and say I was fucking wrong and I'm really sorry. That was probably the stupidest thing I've ever said in a video and I regret saying it. In all fairness though, when people talk about the pay to win aspect of Black Desert, they mostly refer to the ghillie suit, and whilst I have changed my mind about it and consider it to be very slightly pay to win, I think there's far worse items in the game that I consider to be more pay to win. In Black Desert, you can pay to increase your character's weight limit. Everything in this game has weights, especially health and mana potions, and it doesn't take much to hit your weight limit, which slows your movement speed. Paying for more weight allows you to carry more potions and combat supplies in your bags and stay in combat for longer. In a 1v1 fight against another player, you could beat them due to being able to carry more pots.
Wow.
You could also stay at world bosses for the full fight rather than needing to go to the general goods vendor halfway through for more potions, which obviously increases your chance at loot.
How many potions do you use, man? Like, seriously.
The game also has costumes only obtainable through the cash shop with stats on it. Underwear gives you +1 luck, the horse riding costume increases your horse's XP by 20%, which in the long run saves hours of horse leveling. The fishing costume gives you +1 fishing, as well as allowing you to swim almost as fast as a boat, as well as increasing your endurance.
Hold on, let me write this down. So, leveling horses faster and swimming faster makes you win the game. Hold on, let me go write this down.
I bought this costume and felt like it was pointless to then go and build a boat. You've also got horse breeding resets, which double the amount of breed attempts your horses get. This means you can spend 4 days leveling up 2 tier 5 horses for 2 chances at a tier 6, rather than just 1, and still have your male horse have another 2 breeding attempts after. Buying these resets literally half the amount of time you'll spend progressing through the horse breeding system.
You know what quadruples the time spent? Just buying the horse off the fucking horse market like everyone else.
Horse skill change coupons allow you to re-roll your horse's abilities until you've got all the best ones. This saves you leveling up and breeding new horses to get your desired skills. You can also buy pets to loot for you. At launch, this wasn't very pay to win because you could only have 3 tier 1 pets which don't loot that fast, but then they introduced pet breeding. All you need to do is buy more pets off the cash shop and breed them together for a chance of a tier 2 or tier 3 pet. Once you've got 3 high level pets, you'll never need to loot in this game again.
Another lie, dude. Like, why are you talking about things that you really don't even know? Because if you had 3 tier 3 pets, you would know that you still need to loot.
You can also buy inventory space. Sure, you can earn a few slots of inventory space through quests, but only to a certain point. If you want, you can pay your way to having 192 inventory slots, which is great for fishers because you don't need to sell your fish every half hour.
Wait, having more inventory helps you win the game too? I don't recall losing to someone in PvP because they had bigger bag space than me, but hey, if you say so.
On their own, many of these things appear to be pay for convenience, but what I'm trying to say is that there's so many pay for convenience items in Black Desert is that it feels like a pay to win game.
How if the convenience items don't make you win on their own? You have to still play the game. I don't understand.
I didn't realise until earlier, but somehow I've spent over 500 euros on this game's cash shop, which makes me feel a little bit sick. All those times I've died to world bosses and said fuck it, it's only 50p not to lose my XP, or damn I need more inventory space, it'll help me out in the long run, all adds up without you realising, and as someone that rarely falls for the trick of spending money on microtransactions, this game really managed to fuck me pretty hard.
Yeah, it sounds like you got fucked, man.
Black Desert just seems to be designed in a very clever way that makes you spend a lot of money, and I've completely changed my mind at this point.
How dare they? How dare they try to make money with a video game? What's wrong with them? These bastards!
And believe it to be a pay-to-win game. So to wrap this video up, I basically quit Black Desert for the following reasons. They've taken far too long to release Castle Sieges, which means when they are eventually released, only the people that have no-lifed the game since launch can compete for them.
How do you know if you've never done them before? I don't understand. You've never done. How do you know what you need to do if you've never done it before? How do you know? Please tell me. Please.
I hate the amount of RNG in the game, and I find gearing up to be a genuinely stressful process. I hate that the game has infinite progression and no level cap. It makes the idea of re-rolling an ult quite soul-destroying, because mob grinding from 1 to 55 is fucking boring and mindless. The world bosses in this game are pure cancer. They're a complete clusterfuck designed to sell as many aliens tiers as possible, and due to the way the loot system works, they make the OP players even more OP. The cash shop is overpriced, pay to win, and honestly feels like the kind of cash shop you'd expect to see in a free-to-play game. Despite all of this, I still think Black Desert is a good MMO, and I had a lot of fun playing it for the first month, but I'm at the point where I just don't want to play it anymore. It's stopped being fun for me, and I'm ready to move on to something where you don't need to give up your life or your wallet to enjoy the game. So that's it for this video, guys. I know it's going to get a ton of hate, but I really don't care. I'd rather just be honest. Let me know in the comments below if you've been feeling the same way as me about Black Desert 2.
If you want to quit Black Desert, that's fine. I wish you the best, and I'm glad you have fun playing it. But the reasons why you're quitting seem to me like you didn't take the time to learn about the game, and instead you just expected everything to be written out for you like every other MMO. Black Desert isn't like every other MMO. The things that you do in this game, you have to take time to understand and to learn, like the boss mechanics and what happens when you do more damage to the boss, and what gear set is best, and what happens if you're a level 55 versus a level 56 or 57, or how competitive you can be in sieges, castle sieges, and node sieges. And all of these things are things that you have to learn through experience. You haven't experienced the game. You've only leveled to level 54 and fished for 2 weeks. How can you tell people what's pay to win and what's broken when you haven't won and you haven't fought against someone who's paid to win? You haven't seen anyone pay to win. The people who beat you are people who played more than you, not the people who paid. Paying has nothing to do with it at all. That's why it's not a pay to win game. Like, holy, please, please help me. Subscribe and watch my Twitch, guys. Peace.